They say a single choice can change a life. But what if one woman's death could change the fate of an entire empire? Before her final breath left her body, the world already feared what her destiny would unleash. This is the story of Aurelia Valente, the woman whose tragedy didn't just end a kingdom, it ignited a revolution. History, they say, is shaped by the hands of those who win. But sometimes, between the pages and beneath the paint, lies a life that someone tried very hard to erase. This is the story of Aurelia di Vescari, a girl born into splendor, wrapped in silk and marble, and yet treated like a ghost. 1. The child Florence tried to hide, in the radiant heart of Renaissance Italy, among palaces that gleamed like fresh-cut ivory, the powerful house of Vescari ruled with iron grace. Their family sigil drew both admiration and fear. But when a child was born with skin warmer than the Tuscan sun, with curls darker than the night sky, whispers began to coil through Florence like smoke. She does not look like us. Where does her blood truly come from? Aurelia's father, Duke Marcellus di Vescari, was a young ruler whose origins had always been questioned, skin tone too deep, features too foreign, a mystery buried beneath silk robes. Rumor claimed he was not the son of a noblewoman, but of a seamstress from distant shores. Still, Marcellus carried himself as a sovereign, carved by destiny, not birth. He adored his daughter with a tenderness rare among men of power. But Florence did not. To the court, Aurelia was a living reminder of everything they wanted forgotten. And one winter night, everything changed. 2. A death in the dark. In January 1537, beneath the icy hush of a Florentine night, Duke Marcellus was betrayed. His cousin Lorenzo Vescari, a man educated, well-mannered, and infinitely jealous, invited him for a private conversation. Marcellus arrived without suspicion. He left the room in silence, murdered by a blade he never saw coming. He was only With Marcellus died, not just a ruler, but Aurelia's shield against the world. The Vescari court moved swiftly. Aurelia was separated from her mother and sent to a countryside villa under the guardianship of Lady Isotta Vescari, a woman strict as stone and silent as winter. Lady Isotta was no villain, but Florence had taught her that love must bow before politics. Aurelia was raised with care, but never with belonging. She grew up knowing that people admired her lineage, yet doubted her blood. 3. The sister of the garden. In this new quiet life, Aurelia found one light. Bianca, Lady Isotta's granddaughter. Bianca was everything Aurelia was not, golden-haired, pale, a perfect Vescari portrait. But children know nothing of politics or color. They ran together through the gardens, shared secrets, shared beds during storms, whispered stories in the dark. For a time, Aurelia felt whole, until the fever came. Bianca died in Aurelia's arms, whispering her name with a trembling breath. Aurelia's first true friend vanished like morning mist. The villa grew colder, and Aurelia learned that the world could take everything: father, home, sister, without ever apologizing. 4. A young woman watched by every eye. Years passed, and Aurelia blossomed into a young woman whose presence drew attention whether she wanted it or not. Her teachers praised her brilliance: music, languages, diplomacy, mathematics. Her beauty, warm and striking, drew admiration from visiting nobles, and unease from those who preferred their world pale and simple. Behind fans and half-closed doors, the whispers continued. She looks too much like Marcellus. Her mother must have been foreign. Should she even hold a title? Aurelia learned to smile gently, speak softly, stand proudly, but never too proudly. she began to understand. It was not her errors people feared. It was her existence. 5. A marriage of diplomacy, a grief of her own. At 15, Aurelia was married off to Duke Raphael Cantorum, a nobleman from Naples. He was gentle in a world that rarely offered gentleness to her. For 5 years, she tasted a new kind of peace. Until one morning in 1555, Raphael collapsed and never rose again. Widowed before 20. Alone again, in her grief, Aurelia commissioned a portrait. When the painter finished, he whispered, "Your strength is louder than your sorrow." But someone else would later decide that her face was too loud. 6. The portrait that tried to erase her. Far away in Florence, a different painting revealed a truth buried for decades. A masterpiece by Master Pantaro showed Lady Isotta holding a child. But under layers of paint, restorers discovered something astonishing. The child originally painted had Aurelia's features, her warm skin, her curls, her father's striking eyes. Someone in Florence, in the past, had deliberately painted over her, blotting out her existence from the official family record. Why? Because she did not fit the image the Viscari wanted to show the world. Because her blood was a story they wanted sealed under brushstrokes. Because she was both noble and inconvenient. But art, like truth, rarely stays buried. 7. The woman who would not vanish. Aurelia remarried years later to Count Benedetto Loredan, a quiet, thoughtful man who saw not her origins but her soul. In Naples, she found what Florence had denied her: peace, dignity, purpose. She raised a son, Marcello, named for the father she lost too soon. She oversaw estates, supported churches and schools, brought music and scholarship to her community. And when she died at 56, she left behind not a grand funeral nor royal parade, but a lineage, a legacy, a name that would quietly outlive those who tried to erase it. The Shadow-born Princess. Aurelia's life was not written to be celebrated. It was written to be hidden. Yet her story survived. In a restored portrait, in a child who carried her name, in the whispers of history that refused to stay silent. She was a daughter erased from a painting, a princess the world tried to forget, a woman who endured every shadow. And still, she shone. If Aurelia's fate moved you, don't let her story fade into silence. Subscribe, share this journey, and join me as we uncover the lives history tried to forget.